I think if she's taking a hard look at the business, I think it's pretty clear on which path she's going to go down. Hello and welcome back to Dodge, Parry and Roll, your fortnightly Australian independent video game and existential crisis show. I'm your host for today. In March of 2026, Joshua LaRosa, joined by my dear friend, Vinnie Chens. How are you, sir?
Oh, man, I'm feeling good. Actually, okay, first off, how you doing? You feeling good?
I'm tired. I was just explaining to you before the show. I think I've got, baby vomit on my t-shirt somewhere, and I'm, wet in patches because I was brushing my son's teeth, and he was like... It's funny, I'm teaching him how to spit. It's all these things you never think you need to teach someone, right?
Yeah.
You just, I'm like, no, don't swallow the toothpaste, kid.
You have to spit it out.
Spit. So now he makes the noise, but doesn't know how to spit. So you'll go, put, and I'm like, all right.
Yeah.
We'll get you there.
Not good enough.
Yeah, not good enough. You're definitely a La Rosa with your... We're noticing with him, he's definitely got my temperament. He's a goofball. We had my sister's husband, so my brother-in-law's 30th birthday, Wade, last weekend, and he partied to about 11 o'clock.
Oh, yeah, he is a LaRosa.
Yeah. I was...
Definitely your son.
Yeah, we were everyone's like, is he alright? I'm like, you'll conk out. But let's just see
Eventually.
what happens here. And, yeah. Party animal.
Yeah, God, wonder what that's like to have a big bundle of energy at his age. But
Insane.
I'm tired for different reasons. I don't have kids, but this humidity that we have is fucking with my sleep like crazy.
And the hair.
It is insane. I've never experienced this. I'm getting constant bad night's sleep because this humidity is killing me. Yeah.
Try bad night's sleep, but also adding in waking up every 2 hours for feeding a newborn.
Yeah.
Talk about exhaustion.
Yeah.
And lawn talk for a second here.
Oh, how's it going?
I've got mice near my shed, right? Which is where my veggie garden is. And I thought I was going insane because I'm like, oh, nay, I think I've got one ripe tomato here. We're on. And then the next day I'm like, wait, what happened to the tomato? And I'm like, did I move it? Because there was a thing where some of the tomato trees can get quite heavy. And I've learned that I've planted probably too many in that veggie box. So next time I'll probably plant a little bit less because it was growing out of control. And I didn't have any cages for it. So what I ended up doing was putting posts in the soil to kind of balance everything up. So I thought, I'm like, maybe as I was cleaning things up, because we've had some pretty wild wind here in Melbourne, Australia. And I was like, maybe the tomato got lost in the shuffle, right? And then the next day, again, I was like, there was definitely a tomato, because I'm a bit OCD. I'm counting how many tomatoes I got growing.
In case you can't tell, yeah.
It's my first time doing this. I'm very excited. And again, tomato missing. So I'm like, something's amiss. And then I noticed Jerry trying to get into the veggie garden.
Oh.
I'm like, he's smelling something. And he was smelling along our back shed. Fast forward.
Detective Jerry.
Mouse or mice or rat, we don't know. It's some sort of rodent. I've seen it. It's bigger than a mice. I assume that means it's a rat.
Probably.
And it touched my vegetables. So as I said to Naomi, it's personal.
Yep.
So I put rat sack kind of along the back between the fence and the shed. So the dogs can't get to it. Yeah, but there's also the risk that if the rat was to eat it and then come out and die on our lawn, and the dogs went for the rat, there's a risk there. So, anyway, all I'm saying is what this has resulted in is Jerry doesn't like to sleep inside. He's an outside sleeping dog for some reason. Inside, 90% of the day, that isn't the night, but at night he likes to be on patrol. That's just
Okay, that's
He's a
just how it
sausage
rolls.
dog. You just let him go. So Ruby sleeps in the laundry. He usually goes outside in his little house thing. Obviously can't do that. So we've had him in the laundry. He's also afraid of thunder. And with the humidity.
Oh, we've had some storms.
So, at one point, Jordan's crying, newborn. Jerry's crying. I had to bring the dogs into the bedroom. So the dogs are currently sleeping in the bedroom with us. So dogs,
Okay.
newborn, try not to wake up the toddler. It's something.
Chaos.
It's chaos.
It's chaos at your house.
So
But-
yeah, that's why I'm tired. So
yeah, fair enough.
I'm glad the humidity's really affecting you.
It's fucked, all right? Let me have this. I got nothing. But with speaking of tomatoes, we just did our sauce on the weekend. So, being Italian, we make the sauce, pasta sauce for the year. We do it around February, March to get the yield of tomatoes. And it was an experience. Like always, I love doing it every year. It was big family time, and it was Sam's first time doing tomato day.
That's nice.
Yeah, but you know what? Here's the problem. There was actually too many cooks in the kitchen.
Literally.
Like too many people on the assembly line. There wasn't much getting down and dirty with tomato because everyone. It was just almost all done. We finished by about before lunch.
Because it's
crazy.
all automated now. Like I remember when I used to do it as a kid, you'd sit there and like peel the tomato skins, and you're like, oh my god. Now it's
No, you just put them through the machine.
now you just put them through the machine. I think we used to like, I don't know, do something to them when the skin would just fall off.
Yeah. See, we mash them a little. We boil our tomatoes. The process is
You
clean
boil
the
them. That's it.
tomatoes,
Yeah.
boys. You boil them. You put them on a big thing. You kind of mush them a little bit until they drain. And you put them in the processor. You put them through once. Then you put the skins through once. The skins through again. That's it. Then you salt it. Then you bottle it. You go to the bottling station.
Yeah, I was gonna say, do you guys add anything?
No, this is just pure sauce and salt.
Yeah, I think that's what we do. I think we might put like a drop of olive oil and like a bay leaf in it, but like,
Oh, we put a bay leaf in it.
yeah,
We
you
put
got
a bay
it.
leaf in it.
Don't know if it really
Yeah,
does much, like one bay leaf, but it's
Who
the
knows?
accoutrements.
Yeah. But yeah, it was good. Good experience.
Mm.
And then what else have we been doing? Not much. Just gaming a little bit.
Gaming.
Yeah.
Well, let's get into that. We've
Yeah.
actually got a pretty big episode. A lot has happened in the world of video games the last fortnight. Big shakeups, studio closures, CEOs
Yeah.
leaving, plenty going on. Nintendo
Yeah,
announced a new
world's ending.
Pokemon series.
Yep.
Which-
Which was already leaked last year.
Oh, okay. Yes, that was part. Yeah, of course. But speaking of video games, Vinny, what have you been playing?
Yeah. Well, speaking of Pokemon, I'm actually playing Pokemon Silver for the very first time. And I'm playing it on my actual Silver here, this bad boy, this cartridge right here.
Mm.
And I'm playing it on my new Game Boy, my Chromatic.
Look at you with
I'll
the
say-
props.
This thing is great, but also fuck, Pokemon is slow. Pokemon is a slow game to play.
Yeah, it
But
nearly
it's nice
needs
to-
like that 1.5 fast forward that was in
Yeah.
Trails.
It's what yeah, I've never played Pokemon Silver before. I've always played I played like Heart Gold, Soul Silver. So playing this is actually it's fun, like don't get me wrong. But it's one of those things where the quality of life iterations of the game aren't there. So it's it's a hard, and it's still a hard game considering what it is. Like you need to go figure out where stuff is, read every text, talk to everyone, doing all that. And then, but speaking, that's like one RPG I'm playing. The other RPG I'm playing is Dragon Quest VII Reimagined. So this one, look how good this cover art looks. Look at this
Yes, I saw that. That's the flip. Is that the like reversible
Yeah.
cover? Yeah, that's nice.
That's the flip. That is so nice. This thing is so nice. But yeah, I originally played it, the demo. I was speaking to telling Josh about it. I originally played the demo on the Switch 2. And then I was doing research can I buy a Switch 1 copy? Because the game was on the cartridge and then upgrade it. So I don't have to do the game key card bullcrap. You couldn't do that. Technically, the Switch 1 version is a different game than the Switch 2 and PS5 version. So I stopped playing on the Switch 2. I downloaded the demo again on the PS5, played through the PS5 version, and I picked that up. So, and to pick it up, I traded in 2 games and then had a gift card. So,
Oh, what'd you trade in? You
physical
traded in-
media.
What'd you
Huh?
trade? What'd you trade?
I traded in the 2 Mario Rabbids games.
Mm.
That's fine. I'm never going to play them again. This
No.
is the thing about games now.
Mm.
I'm going to go on my little rant for a bit. I don't have any time to play a game that's just okay.
Yeah.
Again, for me, the Mario Rabbids games didn't really hit me. I do like the tactical RPG of it, very Fire Emblem-esque with the whole like landscaping and going through into turn-based element. I enjoyed that. But am I ever going to pick up and play that game again? Probably not.
No.
So I figured, give them to someone else. It's fine.
Yeah. I think I enjoyed the first one. And it's funny, at the end of the show, one of our kind of topics of discussion is gaming's biggest mistakes. The Rabbids should be in there. I hate those.
Yeah, for sure.
I hate those guys.
Yeah, they took over the thing.
Ugh, it's like,
Took over the world
all
for a
right.
second.
It's like the minions, and I'm like, what are we doing? That's just...
Yeah, pretty much. They were the minions of the gaming world.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's it. What are you playing?
I have been playing Kingdom Hearts. So I'm
so good.
there. I'm on Peter Pan world.
Neverland.
Just defeated Shadow Sora last night. So I'm close. I think after that's Hollow Bastion, right? And I'm at the end.
Yeah, Hollow Bastion, then End of the World.
And then the end of the world. Yep. So yeah, still playing through that. It's kind of the calm before the storm, because I was looking at game releases. I do this every year where I go through, and this is probably plays a little bit to my OCD, but I like to pre-order, even though you don't need to pre-order games in modern world. I'm noticing as we shift towards digital, it's not always a guarantee some of these games will be available physically, like widely. Of course, if you're buying like Assassin's Creed, you're going to find millions of copies everywhere. But I remember like with Trails in the Sky, I cancelled... Yeah, well, you remember the story. I cancelled my physical copy because I played the demo, didn't quite get it. Then played the demo much later, and then was like, yeah, I do like this. And then I couldn't buy it physically. So then I paid $120 to get a physical copy on top of the $90 I paid digitally. So I'm like, never again. I'm not doing that. So what I've done is pre-ordered... I mean, indie games, for all their faults, they're pretty good around cancellations of things, particularly if you haven't picked the thing up, right? So I've pre-ordered, say, I've only done about 8 games that I'm like definitely locked in for this year, right? Some of the big heavy hitters: Wolverine, Crimson Desert, Castlevania, Pragmata, and a few others, right? Just games that I know that I'm definitely going to like and enjoy, and if not, want to secure a physical copy. A game like Castlevania, Belmont's Curse is a perfect example, where it's like, that's going to be not this big release. So for all the shit, so for all the shit we give them, they're good in the sense that, 1, they price match, 2, it's a $10 deposit where JB Hi-Fi is like pay for it in full, which is fine if you're doing one or two things. But when you're ordering like 10 games at a time, I just like to have a plan. This is how I work. I just look ahead and go, what's coming? What am I going to play? How do I plan out my months? And then you've got surprises and shadow drops and new games get announced.
Yeah, but you're a forward thinker.
Yeah, something like that. So yeah, Kingdom Hearts, getting ready to finish that up. Hopefully we'll have that done over the next few days. Still plugging away at God of War Ghost of Sparta. I've spent a little bit more time with it now. Still in the echelon of Metroidvanias, it is not nowhere near the top tier.
Okay.
I think if this wasn't branded God of War, and everything else about it was the same, I don't even think I would have picked it up and played it. And if I had to put a number on it, I haven't finished it, and I've heard it does get a lot better towards the mid-half, back end of the game. I'm landing at like a 6.5, 7. It's not bad. It's okay. Might get to good by the end of... From what I'm hearing, it does get better. but it just does some key things wrong. Can't use the D-pad. It's all on the stick. The bi-directional kind of attacking doesn't need to be... I don't need that many options. Especially when you're doing it on a stick. Where there's times I'm jumping to attack an enemy in the sky, and Kratos is kind of spearing on the diagonal, and I'm not hitting the enemy. I don't like that you get damage when you touch an enemy. So... this works in some games. Like Castlevania's famous for doing that. The original Castlevania on the NES, where you get knocked back. But in a game like this, when you're trying to jump onto a platform, so if you have an enemy on the edge of a platform, the only way to defeat that enemy is like jump, stab, fall, and get their health down to 0. You can't get through them. So I would much prefer like a damage on attack, not just on presence.
Or the attack is the knockback, but if you damage on presence, you still are able
or you
to
stagger
push
them
forward.
back a bit, you get some iframes, and you can get through them. If not, you're kind of stuck on the ledge. And you either have to wait for them to walk the other direction, kind of lose their interest, and then make the jump across. Or literally jump, stab to kind of get them down. Little things like that.
Game design.
Yeah, just some game design stuff. And I ultimately think it's not the God of War Metroidvania that could have been. I don't want to play as Kid Kratos, to be honest.
Well, did you want to know why he got so angry?
We don't need to know. I don't need to know everything about this guy. It's kind of cool not knowing. He was a Spartan
mysterious.
train. You get the sense that it was tough. You hear about his brother, Demos, and his mother, and dying, and that's enough. I get it.
Yeah, leave the mystery.
I know plenty of angry, bold European people. I don't need to know why they're angry. You can kind of guess.
You just know.
You just know.
You just know.
Yeah. So yeah, that's me kind of just easing in. I've actually been I've been watching Fate Strange Fake, which I know I've sent you a message like you need to watch it. You really need to watch it. It's really good. I think the Fate series is, although I'm not the biggest, I've read through part of the visual novel, but I'm not the guy that's going to like read through all these visual novels and do the different parts. I've really only come across the series through the anime. Love it. I think it might be like what I like in anime. And I've tried different things. I've tried Attack on Titan, and I was just like, this is just too, like everything's dead. And anyway, it's a topic for another day. But yeah, Fate Strange Fake. Recommend it. Huge fan if you're a fan of cool anime.
Cool.
All right.
There was one thing I was gonna. But little tangent. We've spoken about God of War for a second. Did you see the character reveal for the Prime Video series?
Yes, I did.
Thoughts and so we saw. Was it Ryan Hurst?
Hurst. Yeah.
Ryan Hurst playing Kratos, and then I can't remember the little kid's name. What do you think? I think they've gotten the they've gotten Atreus' hairstyle wrong, and Kratos' beard. His beard is very wrong. It just needs to be that little bit longer, but also physically, it just seems like he
needs to be bigger. Yeah, Atreus looked like a munchkin. I don't know. I don't know what
he looked like an Ewok. I saw someone Photoshop it with an Ewok replacement.
It's like, I don't know what we were doing there. Kratos, I think I'll wait and see, because I actually saw someone tweet about this and I responded back, because I don't know if you saw, is it Ryan Hurst? Is that his name?
Yeah.
Tweeted or posted on Instagram something like, something along the lines of like, don't believe what you read online. I think he was kind of alluding to the fact that this might have been like a test image and doesn't actually represent it. And it often does happen. Like, you think about when Heath Ledger got revealed as the Joker and they had that first shot of him. Everyone was against it. Not to say that this is going to be the next Joker, thing, but it may play out better in motion, is what I'm saying. So I'm reserving judgment. I think from a distance, I'm like, yep, that's Kratos, right? Is it perfect? No. Atreus, again, looks a little bit like a munchkin. But we'll see. Yeah. There's a lot going on with God of War. I don't know if you saw the latest leak. That is, I think, probably only 24 hours old, if that. That their next game that's being revealed this year in the the summer in the US, so our winter, is Cory Barlog's next game, who's the director of God of War 2018. So Ragnarok had a different director. The teams are basically split, right? You can see that they're also doing the God of War remake. Their next game is a spin-off God of War game starring Faye, Kratos' wife.
Okay. Yep.
And it seems to be more of a return to the action combat. So it's not going to... I don't know if that means it's going to play a bit more like a Devil May Cry. A bit more old school God of War. Part of me is like, I'm sure it's going to be great. Faye is a very important character in the God of War Ragnarok world, right? Could this have been a new IP? And I'd be more excited just to see Santa Monica do something that isn't God of War. They haven't done a game that isn't God of War since 2005. Yes.
Yeah, that'd be nice. Yeah.
But I'll reserve judgment. So anyway, I just thought I'd drop that little nugget. Must be nice to not be on Twitter.
Oh, it's so nice.
Yeah, I can't help myself. I like to just... It's like a stream of consciousness. I like to just see what's going on. Anyway, shall we move on, Vinny? Anything else you'd like to say there? We shall.
No, that's all.
All right.
Thoughts and feelings.
Plenty to talk about. Sony and Xbox both, the last 2 weeks, decided to, as people like to say, stand on a few rakes. We're going to start with Xbox. I think what we'll do, Vin, because there's a lot that's happened. I'm going to read what I've got here. And then we'll pick it apart any way we want. Talk about it any which way we want. Because there's a few different moving pieces here. So I'm going to try not to stutter my way through this as I read it. So, first off, Phil Spencer is retiring from his role as head of Microsoft Gaming, making an end of a long career at Microsoft. His retirement takes effect on the 23rd of February 2026, after decades within the company. Sarah Bond, who was the president of Xbox and widely expected to take over his role, has resigned instead of succeeding him. Asha Sharma, previously president of Microsoft's Core AI product group, has been appointed as the new CEO of Microsoft Gaming and the leader of the Xbox division. Matt Booty, longtime head of Xbox Game Studios, has been promoted to Chief Content Officer and will work closely with Sharma. Spencer is expected to help with the transition in a advisory capacity through to mid-2026. Now, that was the first piece of news. Since then, Asha Sharman has gone and done a few rounds of interviews, including Windows Central, and this is where some of the quotes come from an interview that she did with Jez Corden.
Okay.
Part of her... Well, actually, it's two pieces. There's the interview and then Asha's letter that was sent to Microsoft Xbox staff, but also obviously ended up online. And there was a couple of key focus points in both her interview with Jez and in her letter. And one of those things was the return to Xbox. So Sharma reiterated her goal to lead a return to Xbox, meaning a recommitment to the brand's roots, focusing on console, leadership, creativity, fan trust, and innovation. There was a focus on hardware, and she confirmed that Xbox consoles and hardware will remain central to the platform's identity in future plans, with more announcements expected later this year. Important thing to call out. There was a focus and emphasis on first party. Both leaders, so Asha and Matt Booty, both stressed that Xbox will continue to be a first party platform holder and a creator, not just a publisher.
Important, very important.
Very important. The next piece was obviously brought up in relation to Asha's previous roles as the product group president of Microsoft's Core AI. So that obviously got brought up. Despite Sharma's AI background, they firmly stated that there's no corporate mandate, as in from Microsoft, to force AI into their games. AI will be used as a support tool, example for productivity, debugging, all those different ad hoc items, not to replace human creativity or flood the ecosystem with low quality, quote, AI slop. Finally,
appreciate that.
There was a commitment to strategy. Some parts of the interview were high level and less specific. Sharma acknowledged that she is still learning and evaluating past decisions, emphasizing long-term value over short-term moves. So, Vinny, there was a lot there. Don't know if you had a chance to read through some of the interviews on Windows Central. thoughts and feelings. Where did you want to start? Do we want to start with Phil? Do we want to start with Asher? Do we want to start with...
I mean,
go for it.
we can just start with Phil leaving. I mean, that's just like I was watching a few things way back in 2013 today about releases of previous consoles, and just to see Phil Spencer, he was a gamer. You know what I mean? He was the one who like he actually enjoyed the work that he was doing, and he played games as well. I think that was the funny part of having someone so relatable in that position of power for the rest of the community. So it's sad to see him go. And then his successor, who thought, Sarah
Bond.
Sorry. Yeah, Sarah Bond. Why did I say Sasha for? Anyway.
Probably Asher. Asher Sharman.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, combination of both.
Yep, Sharma.
But yeah, seeing her immediately leave afterwards was like, like upsetting.
What do you think happened there? What's your view on it? Because it is a very abrupt retirement, right? Cast your mind back, and I'm sure you remember this very clearly. When Jim Ryan announced his retirement, there was a window. Hey, Jimbo's going to be here for at least the next 8 months, 12 months, but he's retiring at this date. This was effective basically immediately, with Phil kind of still being there in an advisory role, and Sarah, who left her role, was immediate. She was out the door. So
I wonder if that's a PR, like forced retirement, because that just sounds like bad blood with the company, even though Phil Spencer is the Phil Spencer. You know what I mean?
The Phil Spencer.
He is the Phil Spencer. It's kind of bizarre to see him. I saw it synonymous with Xbox. So, but yeah, I think it's probably Microsoft up there saying, hey, we want to pivot, we want a brand new image, and you got an old head, we can't have this. That could be the case.
Yeah,
we need someone more aligned with our main business and main core values of the business. Yeah What about you?
I think it's interesting. Phil, there was a lot of talking online when this was announced around Phil's legacy and what he's done for the brand. And people who are in the know, dorks like us, would understand and know that Phil Spencer was integral at the time to keeping Xbox alive.
Yeah.
So, Microsoft CEO, Satya Nadella, there was a point in time where there was a real fact that Xbox might be shut down, legitimately be dead, as the meme is.
Yeah.
And Phil Spencer convinced Satya and the Microsoft board that Xbox was a brand worth investing, and brought that brand from the coffin. It was being carried down the aisle, basically.
Yeah, pretty much.
And Phil chucked the coffin on his shoulder and put it into another car and drove it in the opposite direction. And Phil has been, for the longest time, seen as the savior of Xbox. Think about the turnaround from Xbox One, introduction of Game Pass, acquisition of studios, commitment to first party. There was a few years there where it really did seem that whilst the hardware... No, I lie. Xbox Series launch and the hardware lineup of Series X and S, and the idea of having this cheaper, lower entry, this higher end premium console, having all the games be day one in Game Pass, on paper seemed like a really good idea. But then over time, we started to see the cracks in that lineup, right? We started to see Series S have bottlenecks with certain games, and it became a bit of an online joke to blame the Series S for game optimization and certain games missing the platform, like Baldur's Gate. That was a massive, massive story. Game Pass, the effects of Game Pass in market, the effects of game sales with Game Pass, and then, of course, the acquisition of ABK really being the thing that kind of pushed it over the edge. So it's interesting seeing Phil being pitched as the savior of Xbox, which I agree he was. And I think a lot of the decisions he made at the time made sense. Hey, we need to kind of do something massive to shake things up here, because we are getting out-consoled by Sony in every way. They've got more games, better games, and their hardware sells more. Let's buy more studios. Let's introduce Game Pass, and let's really shake things up.
Yeah.
It just didn't work out the way that they had planned.
It's true.
So,
And
yeah, go.
yeah, I remember hearing some feedback where they said that the whole everything is an Xbox approach. I remember I was reading about where it's like there was a lot of backlash from the Xbox employees being like, well, like it sounds like you're really degrading what we do here as a company.
Yeah.
Because you're pushing it onto other platforms where Xbox is a console driven business. We were seeing like it's completely useless.
Yeah. And that's kind of the three pillars of the story. There's Phil Spencer retiring and the impacts of him as a person and the leader of Xbox. There's Sarah Bond and her resignation effective immediately, someone that was set up to be the replacement of Phil. And I don't know, there was another article in all this that was talking solely on Sarah Bond and that how she was... I want to preemphasize by saying that this article that has been released does seem to paint Sarah Bond as a bit of like a scapegoat for all of Microsoft's mistakes, which I think is truly unfair. But to kind of condense it down as to what that article was saying was that Sarah was a big component in the Everything is an Xbox campaign and the push to cloud and mobile, which she has a boss who is Phil Spencer. All these things need to get signed off and approved. I don't think it's fair to solely shift the blame onto Sarah Bond, particularly because a lot of these ideas were initiated years before she even joined Xbox. Games on PC, games being everywhere, like those type of verbiage was being done before Sarah joined. I think where her impact, if the article is to be true, is that whilst those things were already happening, she was a big component to push the message that it's everywhere and you don't need the hardware. Where whilst those things were happening, there was still a doubling down on hardware as like the main way to play Xbox. And let's not forget that the mandate or the push towards multi-platform isn't a decision made by Sarah and Phil. In fact, the reporting said at the time that both Phil, Matt Booty, and the team were kind of pushing against Microsoft. There was this internal civil war at Microsoft around keeping games exclusive versus multi-platform. Hence, the back and forth and the doublespeak between Phil Spencer saying, no, we're all about exclusives, and then it's just 4 games, and then all of a sudden here we are, Halo's launching later this year. So the hit piece against Sarah Bond, I think it was done probably not on purpose. I think that the point of the article was to say that there was some internal indecision around Sarah Bond. People did say that she was, some people claimed that she was a little bit hard to work with, and that if you didn't get in line with her vision, you were out the door. But it was just interesting as she was clearly the person we all expected to take Phil's role when he retired. Yeah. So, yeah, it's just one of those things. But I think we can kind of both read through the tea leaves here and go, if he's retiring, this probably was a plan for him to retire, but effective immediately tells me that
something bad.
So not even that something bad's happened, that Phil's connection to the brand is a stain in terms of the past. So everything Microsoft does and Xbox does, everyone just goes, oh, but Phil said 6 months ago, a year ago, that this wasn't happening. And then it's the cycle of like, lying Phil Spencer and all that. So maybe it's just one of those things where they've said, look, we're already moving to this multi-platform approach. We still need to make some difficult decisions here. And I think it's better for everybody if this change is coming from someone new who hasn't said anything, who hasn't 2 years ago said we're all in on exclusives. We haven't, you know what I mean? It's just...
Yeah.
And he's kind of the vestige of the old Xbox. Matt Booty's still there, somehow promoted. But Phil is still connected to the core of what the brand was during the 360 era. So with him not there, it's kind of like any new changes that Asher introduces, it's kind of like, well,
Phil Spencer's.
It's not. Yeah, they're not going to point to an article where she said 3 years ago that we wouldn't do this one thing that we're now doing.
Yeah, that's very true. Because really, at the end of the day, and is what I think where it's like someone from Microsoft's core coming into Xbox is probably something that is more aligned with the wider business of Microsoft.
She's come from the AI business too, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Which is Microsoft's.
biggest like the one they're pushing the most right now.
I wanted to ask you this, Vin. There's been a lot of scuttlebutt online from certain circles around exclusivity and the return of exclusivity on Xbox. I'm going to pull out a quote. This is from the Jez Corden interview on Windows Central. Quote, right now, I need to learn candidly about why of these decisions, what we were optimizing for, and what the data says about the Xbox strategy today. That's my honest answer. I'm looking at lifetime value, not just what happened in previous moments or in the short-term efficiency. Let me dial that back. I'm looking at lifetime value, not just what happened in previous moments or in the short-term efficiencies and things like that. The plan is the plan until it's not the plan. End quote. So there has been conversation online. Asher has also responded to a person online that was talking around exclusivity with response here. And then there's this quote. And certain parts of the fan base have seen that as return of exclusives. So interested to hear your thoughts if that is what perhaps she's indicating, if it's perhaps a bit of hopium from certain core fan base. Interested on your business rationale as to why they may or may not look back at doing this.
Well, so there's two ways you can go about it, and I think Xbox has done the one thing where it's get the games in as many hands as possible. They're clearly doing this whole Game Pass strategy. Maybe it's not working to what they think it's supposed to be working to.
Clearly,
and that could be the case. So they're probably like, hey, this doesn't work now. We see Nintendo doing something that's really exclusive based. Sony actually did say, I think I read somewhere that Sony's actually talking about no longer doing PC releases for single player experiences.
Yeah.
So they'll be rolling back to exclusives.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this is just the way. It's funny. So both Sony and Xbox have kind of flipped back, whereas Nintendo's just kept staying the same.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's fine. I think that means in some way the quote unquote like console wars are back, and it means that they'll be fighting. I think that will breathe a lot of like innovation into the games, because it's going to have to make your game is going to now have to sell the console. Like people are going to have to be like, oh, this game looks good. I'm going to have to buy a Xbox console just to play this game.
Mm.
Whereas now in the Game Pass world, it's like, oh, it's coming to Game Pass. I'll play it on PC. I'll stream it on my freaking TV. I'll stream it on my phone. You know what I mean? That's they're losing the hardware, the ecosystem from people to buy in, which I think is really important, because it's how we used to sell it in retail. It's like you buy the one, like you sell the console, break it even, or maybe at a loss. But then you're in the ecosystem, so you keep buying games on that platform, and then all of a sudden, you're an Xbox player.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the important part.
Yeah, I'm just pulling up from Microsoft's blog her message, and I think there's a few small quotes in there that kind of, I would say, lean towards the contrary. I truly, in my heart, don't think you can put the genie back in the bottle. And
no, you can't start taking this stuff away. Like, they've already raised the prices of Game Pass. They can't just say, hey, we're canceling Game Pass.
Well, that's the interesting thing. So there was a few things in her. I'm just trying to bring up the exact quote. There's a few, actually, right? So firstly, I guess in contrast to the whole exclusive piece, her literal opening letter says, gaming now lives across devices, not within the limits of a single piece of hardware. As we expand across PC, mobile, and cloud, Xbox should feel seamless. So she's still talking about the ecosystem that is Xbox. but talks about the idea of reviewing decisions that have been made. The plan is the plan until it's not, right? So a lot of, I think, Xbox, and I'm not painting a broad brush here. I'm not saying all Xbox fans are doing this, but I just urge the people that are to not fall into the same trap that you have fallen into with all of what's happened, right? Whether it was ABK games being exclusive, no games coming to PlayStation. It is just the 4 games. You're never getting Indiana Jones and Starfield to where we are today, and the whole thing. So what I think is going to happen is that her role is to come in, fresh pair of eyes, someone who's probably got the business experience and leadership qualities that Satya needs to go, all right, I need you to assess where this brand is really at without the bias of being a legacy person there. And come to me with what we actually need to do to make this business more profitable, more sustainable in the long run. And if we need to make hard decisions, it's better that these decisions come from someone who's new as opposed to Phil Spencer. So when I hear ya, that doesn't tell me that their games are going back to exclusives. It's to say that, yeah, we understand that the hardest of hardcore fanboys online are still a little butthurt around the whole exclusivity thing. We hear you. It's funny because when Phil Spencer, when they announced the podcast where they announced the 4 games, Phil Spencer's quote was literally, "I hear you, and we're working on this announcement thing that's coming up in the next week or so." So just because the words "we hear you," she's not committing to anything, and the plan is the plan until it's not. So this is what I realistically think is going to happen. Like I said, I think she's been brought in to take a real holistic view at the business without the attachment to the legacy of the brand and go, what do we need to do here? So she will look at things like exclusivity and why that decision was made. And I think what will happen, very reasonably so, is she will look at that and go, we're making how much money on PlayStation? How much money are we making on Xbox sales? Okay, Forza Horizon 5 sold 5 million copies, a game that was 2 years old on PlayStation. 85% of Call of Duty sales or the money made of Call of Duty on PlayStation. That 65% of all money spent on Xbox games in 2024, according to an analytical firm, was done on PlayStation. I think she's going to see that and go, that's fine. The plan is the plan until it's not the plan. Unfortunately, I think is a real hard look at Xbox Game Pass and the effects of Game Pass. And I've said this for how many years now, Vinny? 6 years. It cannibalizes sales. It has an impact on their ability to push sales of first-party games. So I think the hard decision she needs to make is to look at Game Pass and go, is it realistically feasible for us to continue to have these games day one in the service? Do we need to move towards a more PlayStation Plus approach where we add these games in after a certain period of time? Or what do we need to do at the higher level to make this work? Does Call of Duty make sense in Game Pass? These are the hard decisions I think she needs to make. And unfortunately, I think what will come with that is a look at their studio portfolio and go, okay, Activision's making Call of Duty, great. Bethesda's doing Fallout and Elder Scrolls, great. Compulsion, you've spent 5 years on South of Midnight, sold a few 100,000 copies, and costed us X amount to keep running. You don't sell copies, and you're not moving Game Pass subscribers. Why do we have you, right? And I'm not wishing anyone's job away. It sucks when we lose studios, and we're going to talk about that in just a sec. But just be reasonable in terms... All I'm saying is be reasonable in terms of what you're reading online. Read between the tea leaves, and don't take anything that any exec says on face value. Because realistically, there isn't a world where she goes to Satya Nadella and goes, okay, Satya, we've got 35 million Xbox, roughly, hardware consoles out in the market. PlayStation have about 100. Okay. We have Game Pass that's roughly about 30 million subscribers across console and PC. Big chunk of those are on console. So a lot of people who have the console have Game Pass, therefore aren't buying our first-party games on our hardware. Okay. PlayStation doesn't have Game Pass. If they want the games, they're forced to buy it at retail, digitally, physically. Here's an idea. Let's take all that away, make less money to appeal to not 35 million Xbox fans, the 5-10% of those fans that are people like us, that care about Halo being exclusive, that care about, you know what I mean? Like the people who know what an exclusive is and who a first party is and what a team is and who Naughty Dog is, like all those different things, they usually say 10 to 15% of the hardware base is the hardcore, right? And that's the people like us that actually keep things in motion in terms of buying games. So if Xbox have sold roughly 30 to 35 million units, 10 to 15% of those, you've got about 3 to 5 million of that fan base. And a percentage of those, maybe a big chunk, hate that you don't do exclusives anymore. So do we appeal to the 3-4 million people screaming at us for exclusives? Or do we appeal to the 100 million PlayStation players, the other 20 million Xbox players who don't even know who these teams are, who Compulsion Games are, and make great games and sell great games? I think if she's taking a hard look at the business, I think it's pretty clear on which path she's going to go down. That is my view.
Yeah, the money route is make games accessible to all parties and all platforms, including getting rid of exclusives if that's going to generate more profit. But what does that mean for Game Pass? Are they saying, hey, we're going to take off our first party day one editions off the platform?
It's difficult.
Then we're going to sell those we're going to sell them for about 6 months to a year, and then we're going to put them on after a year.
It's either they bump up the price.
Games will eventually come to Game Pass, or Well, they could. They could say, "Hey, we're going to take after we just hiked up the price, we're actually going to take it down a notch, but in return, you're not getting first parties anymore."
Or it's either they increase the price of Game Pass Ultimate.
Release.
Yeah, increase the price of Game Pass Ultimate, change the tiering structure, or re-look at the whole approach and rename it something else, and it's becomes something else.
You call it Game Pass Ultimate, and the Ultimate tier has a price range, but that one gets day one exclusives.
Or
and it
even
could be an extra $15 a year.
Yeah, even like how PlayStation rebranded PlayStation Now and brought that together with PlayStation Plus, and that became the subscription service. Maybe they need to do that type of approach and go, Game Pass, we spent so long on that name, it sucks that we might have to sunset it, but what if we came up with like Microsoft Plus or something, and it's this new thing, and it's cheaper, you're getting more cloud and cross-buy benefits and things like that, but we're taking away the first party day and date games. I don't even know if they can do that because the backlash would be immense. So it might be in their best interest to go, let's just bump up the price, and if people subscribe, great, and if they don't and they want to play the games, they'll buy it. So we win either way.
I think that's the best approach for them in terms of not. I mean, it's not unheard of for a subscription service to jack up the prices annually. We all see it. We see it every year.
It's Netflix, just when it's
Disney,
a 50%
Spotify
increase, that's when it's like,
Yeah. But they still have that massive audience.
Yeah, and you've got Call of Duty launching in it. So I think there is ways around it. And the last thing I want to say before we move on, unless you had anything else to add here, was the comments around return to Xbox. This is another thing I wanted to say to balance out the conversation. I think Microsoft and Xbox can return to the renegade spirit of Xbox. And this is something I had tweeted, right? So maybe if I even just read the tweet, because it's shorter and hopefully gets the point across better. Let me just... All right.
Tweet?
Yes. I think it's simply... So this is someone commented, like, I wonder what they mean about this return of Xbox. Like, what are they actually saying if it isn't exclusive, if it isn't all those things? And this is what I said, and I wonder what you think. I think it simply means a focus on ensuring Xbox users who upgrade to next generation receive reinvigorated support in terms of messaging, features, and games. It isn't a play for Xbox to complete. It isn't a play for Xbox to compete with PlayStation. It's a play to make Xbox not the butt of every joke. That is the return of Xbox.
Yeah.
Is just to say you play on Xbox, great, as opposed to you play on Xbox. Like, what are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
So, anyway.
Yeah.
Shall we move on?
I think that's it. We shall.
All right, we'll move through this next one quite quickly, as much as it pains me to talk about this. Sony shuts down Bluepoint Games. Again, I'll quickly read through it and we'll take it from there. Sony Interactive Entertainment is closing Bluepoint Games, the studio best known for Demon's Souls Remake and Shadow of the Colossus Remake, with the closure expected in March 2026, and around 70 staff members will be laid off as part of the move. Now, this is where it gets interesting. So that was the first inkling that we got of something going on with Bluepoint. That was through Jason Schreier. Since then, there was an article that explained what was going on at the studio. So if you remember, last year in 2025, we learned that Bluepoint were working on a God of War live service game that was cancelled internally. We have now learned that since then, Bluepoint went to pitch a Bloodborne remake, which was accepted by Sony, but ultimately blocked by From Software. Then, the team looked at other options, including a Ghost of Tsushima spin-off, that was ultimately not greenlit. So what likely happened here is God of War Ragnarok. So Bluepoint supported Santa Monica and God of War Ragnarok in a supporting function after Demon's Souls. That game shipped, and the understanding is Bluepoint went to Sony and said, hey, we want to work, we have an idea on a God of War multiplayer game. Now, whether Sony should have said, no, you're a remake studio, what are you doing, is one thing. But they ultimately had the view of, hey, we need games as a service. This team wants to make it. Let's give them a shot. Years went down past. The team kind of squandered the time. Again, they're a 70-person team built specifically to remake games and remaster games, and that's what they're built for. They have said publicly that they'd like to work on their own game. So there is a sense that Sony felt that maybe Bluepoint didn't want to just do remakes anymore. Hey, let's give them a chance. They want to do this, and we also want games as a service. Let's let them have a crack. It wasn't working out. We pulled the pin. They've probably gone, shit, what do we do now? Everyone wants Bloodborne. Let's pitch it. Sony said, great, let's do that. From Software said no, right? If anyone's going to do it, we're going to do it. Sony could technically do it because they own the IP, but probably out of respect of Miyazaki and FromSoft, a partner that they'd like to keep happy, they probably said, okay, we won't do it. Then there's a few other pitches, including Ghost of Tsushima, which was ultimately declined. A few people had left the studio. I think the ultimate landing number was around 50 people. So the team had shrunk since the cancellation of God of War. And then ultimately Bluepoint was shut down early this year, right, with the closure in March. So that's kind of the long and the short of it. I don't know how much there is to say here beyond the fact that it sucks that we've lost Bluepoint. I don't know if you've got any history with the team, played any of their remakes. But yeah, go for it, Vin.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of what I played. I played Shadow of the Colossus Remake, and that was like well done, even though it didn't have every boss included. But actually, there was talks that they were going to remake that game again
Yes,
Shadow of the Colossus Remake had cut content.
Yeah.
Versus the original.
Yeah.
No.
And then it was the complete. So the remake is the full remake of the original game. The original game had cut content that they were going to remaster.
They were going to remaster the cut.
They're going to remaster the remake and then do their own, using the cut content, kind of doing their own Colossuses.
And the fact that they didn't put, like, when did Sony buy Bluepoint? It was
2021. It was after the launch of Demon's Souls.
Yes, correct. And they didn't put out a game in the 5 years that Sony owned them. I think that's the hard part.
Yep.
Whereas, like, they were going on almost a game every 2 years prior to being owned by Sony.
Yep.
So this is the thing where you remain independent. You get a good buyout by a company. The acquisition's always good. It's nice to have that influx of money. But then you're also now limited to what the decisions of that studio alone. And the hard part is, in that sense, if you were contracted out, you could, during that time, you could have done other projects. You could approach studios individually and said, "Hey, we want to remake this. Do you want to partner with us? This is our pedigree.
Yeah.
Bang, bang, bang." And then you could go every 2 years, still be pumping out those games. But the fact that there was, Sony took a chance with them, didn't work out. It's upsetting. I think we'll see them kind of do something else similar to Bluepoint, but not be called Bluepoint. If they have the team if they have a core team that sticks together, we could have a Sandfall situation on our hands.
Yeah,
that's what I think.
Yeah,
but yeah, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, this one it sucks to see. Bluepoint
it does.
have been a great studio.
Uncharted remake. They did that too.
They did the Uncharted collections, the Metal Gear Solid collections, the God of War collections on PS3. That was all Bluepoint. Through to Shadow of the Colossus, Demon Souls. They were the remake team, and it made sense at the time for Sony to buy them because they had worked with them so many times, and Sony has a back catalogue of great IP. I think if I had to...
Sly Cooper.
Don't. If I had to not... I think this is a failure on multiple fronts. It seems that Bluepoint had made it clear that they had wanted to work on their own game and not just remake games. Which is fine, but you're a remake team purchased to make remakes. So part of me is like, if I was running the team, I would have said, no way you're making a God of War games as a service. You're a 70-person team that has got technical experience, no creative... not to say that you have no creative people, but you're not built to do it. I don't think this is the best direction for your team. Perhaps, right? We say, what if we spin 20 of you guys off and you work on something real small on your own? And,
like a little indie.
Yeah, like a small indie game, right? Bluepoint actually did make their own game that was a PlayStation 3 launch title, I think. It was like a top-down kind of space shooter. I forget the name of the game, but it was a very small title. But something along those lines where it's like, all right, we'll spin out 20 of you that really want to do it and give you a chance. And if it's something that people like, maybe we can grow the team and then maybe do something new. But people have spoken about Sony's inclination to allow teams to make the games that they want. So there is the sense that they didn't want to make another remake or remaster. Should Sony have said, no, this is what you're here for, they would have lost talent because of it, either way. But perhaps there was a portion of the team that were happy to continue to do remakes. But we just don't know, right? There was a mistake on pitching a God of War multiplayer game. There was a mistake for allowing them to make it, I think.
Yeah.
And to make it for 5 years. Now, the tricky thing, this is something I haven't seen spoken about anywhere. So this is a Josh take. I think I might have mentioned on last episode when we saw the State of Play that I thought it was weird that Santa Monica were doing the remakes of God of War and not Bluepoint, the remake team, right? This was before the cancellation. True. And my mind went to an interview with Nate Fox at a Sucker Punch when he spoke about people wanting Sly Cooper to come back and Infamous. And he said something along the lines of, if anyone's going to do it, we're going to do it because it's ours, right? I wonder if Bluepoint struggled to come to a remake of a relevant game because, hear me out for a second, game development is risky and expensive, right? If you're a team like Naughty Dog and you've got in your back pocket at any point in time when we need the money, we can remake Uncharted and it's like a known quantity and we're guaranteed money on it, right? If we give it to Bluepoint and they do it, we never can pull that card because it's been done. So we say, no, we want to work on Uncharted. So, sorry, Bluepoint, you can't do that. All right, cool. We'll go to Santa Monica. We want to do God. No, we're doing God of War. That's our game. Okay, let's go to Sucker Punch and talk Infamous. Or no, we would do it. It's ours. So all of a sudden, Bluepoint's like, where do we go? Like, what game do we make? Do we go back and remake some obscure PS1 game that no one knows about?
Yeah, do a remake like Legend of the Dragoon.
Yeah, exactly. Wild Arms and sell few 100,000 copies.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, Killzone. But Guerrilla might go, no, we want to do Killzone. We might return to it. So I wonder if that was happening as well as this.
Yeah, they're getting knocked back.
Yeah, getting knocked back, or the sense that the other teams don't want them to make it because they would like to use it as their own trump card when the time's needed. Plus, we want to make something on our own. Plus, Sony is greenlighting games as a service games. Maybe this is our chance to get it done because they will probably likely greenlight a multiplayer game because that's what they want. So I think this is truly a failure on all fronts.
Yeah.
But it is sad to see Bluepoint go because there is a world where we've gotten an Uncharted remake already. We got Bloodborne. It's good to know why that has never happened though. And interesting that Sony's continuing to honor that relationship. So I haven't got too much to say there beyond it sucks to see another team go. Failure on all fronts. It sucks. Anything else you wanted to mention there, or happy to move on?
Happy to move on. I think you're right. You sums it up. Sucks to lose such a good studio.
Yeah. Thus is the industry. Anyway. All right. My voice is back. I don't know what happened there. I apparently talk a lot. So.
Yeah.
Oh, well. That's a great way to just wrap up. Well, Vinny, this has been, it's funny, we're talking about like, all right, we're going to try to do this and we'll condense and, here we are an hour and 45 minutes later, but what a great episode if I don't say so myself. So Vinny, thank you so much
been fun.
For jumping on and joining us yet again. A lot of interesting topics. Again, if you're new here, please, I beg you, subscribe to our YouTube channel, Dodge, Parry and Roll. You can find us on YouTube fortnightly every Friday. Every second Friday. Got to get that right. Anyway. All right. That's enough. Vinny, thank you so much. Send us off.
May the power protect you.
Goodbye.